Hello, Catalina. Hello, Bea.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good to see you all.
Well, I think everything is working now. Sound was not working, but well, I was just trying to say I'm super excited to be with all of you ladies. This is like a dream coming true, coming reality, because each one of you is in one completely different world, breaking barriers, glasses, whatever you want to call it, and building what many young girls could dream, things that sound impossible but are happening, are changing the world in different industries. And for sure that's well, let's see. What I don't want to anticipate the story, but I would love to start saying, if you are already connected seeing us, stay here and save the link, because I am sure that you will love to see this conversation again and share it with almost everybody, especially the younger generations for sure. Well, thank you, Natasha, Bea, Catalina, Alicia, for accepting being here. And of course, thanks all the people who is behind this screen helping GatherVerse to happen, and Chris, Lynn, all the team. Thank you for all the support to make this possible. So let's start. Let's start by, please, ladies, who wants to start sharing with us who you are and what is the reality that you decided to build? Alicia.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe the oldest lady. My name is Alicia. I'm from Colombia, from Medellin, and I'm now retired. I have 6 grandchildren. I'm divorced. I don't have any boyfriend. I live in a beautiful house near a lake. And I'm so happy, Rosario, to be sharing with Natasha, Bea, and Catalina. Thank you for this invitation.
Thank you, Alicia. And of course, you said you are retired, but we'll talk about that later, because retired for other people is a little bit different. Who want to follow? Catalina, go ahead, please.
Okay, so Catalina Lopez Correa, like Alicia, I was actually born in Medellin, Colombia.
Really?
Yes, and had a little house, maybe not far from where you are. Now I live in Canada, in Vancouver. And I think the reality I built is all connected with one field that is the DNA. The molecule of life is connecting everything that has happened in my life, from, positions in pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies, non-for-profit, and now also as an advocate for the use of genomics and DNA testing in cancer patients, since I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2023. So we'll talk more about all those things, but that's kind of my reality connected with that molecule of DNA.
Thank you, Catalina. And of course, we will also talk about what is to be prepared, what means to be prepared when the things arrive, because of course you could mix both things because you were very prepared. So, well, Bea, Natasha, Bea, go ahead.
Yep,
please.
Sounds good. So I'm Beatriz Mendez Andica. I go by Bea. I'm from Venezuela. I live in Seattle. And my career started, I guess, with the dream to go for chemistry. That didn't happen, or oil. Then I went into computers. I've been in tech and always trying to make sure that there's more representation in tech when it comes from women, especially women of color, and run a nonprofit where we teach students how to code, and working in the tech company. I work at Microsoft. Yep.
Thank you. And of course, also, you will share later on the work in the small towns and small places in the world to have more kids coding. That's a phenomenal work that you are doing also. Natasha, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's delighted to be here. Rosario, thank you for inviting me to participate. What reality am I building? I think I started building my reality when I was 5 years old. I sort of fell in love with theater before I knew it was theater. And then I realized that I'm in love with a theater that does not exist. And sort of that's what keeps me going. And sort of the constant search and redefining and stretching of the form and reinvention. So I like to create these worlds, and I get to manifest them. And how lucky am I to do that? And now I'm taking my theatrical world into the realm of space. So we're becoming the first theatrical company for the space industry and creating experiences born from the medium of space that can be enjoyed right here on Earth. In a nutshell.
Thank you. And of course, if people is seeing this conversation, they will say, well, this is like a crazy thing, having all these women talking about things they do that are very, very different. But I want to ask you, because I know all of you quite well, let's say it that way. And I really think that there is something common for sure, and is the way you are dreaming, the optimist way you see the world. And I would love to ask you, in that reality, in that way of building things, why do you think that when I invited you to say, hey, let's inspire the next generations, you may add to this conversation to make it meaningful? I mean,
I think that's a tricky question, Rosario, because we don't know where the conversation is going. So it's a lot of assumptions and expectations right away. I think we need to unburden ourselves. And just,
well, let me add something there, because the thing that I want here is each one of you started a journey and is accepting invitations to some projects, even when you don't know what will be the future on that industry, even when you are not sure of what is coming on that industry, on that world. And I know all of you were doing projects that way. So let's then start by, let's share with us, what is that idea or that project that you think is the one that was more disruptive, that was like, I don't know how I jump into that, but it was bringing me and the world an impact?
Well, may I start?
Yes, please.
It was 1987 in Colombia, in Medellin, and it was a city that could no dreams because of the violence. We lived very, 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 and Catalina knows it. She's from Colombia. And suddenly a team, we were called. I've been working in the textile and fashion industry for almost 25 years, more. And we created an institute. The name is Inex Moda. And though everything was impossible, the dreamers of Inex Moda made a commitment that we were going to do the impossible things possible. But to do that, you don't go to a shopping center and you say, please sell me a bottle of optimism and send me a bottle. No, you have to create this dream team that believes. For me, the most important thing is, though we were going through terrible moments in Medellin, we care about our country. Colombia was in our mind, in our heart, in our vision. And we decided not to cry, but, to do things. And from that, Rosario was very near me in some years. We created two of the most important fairs actually in Latin America. Colombia Takes and Colombia Moda. And Alicia had the privilege to be the one who created the fairs. It was my responsibility to dream. It was my responsibility to make effective the dreams. It was my responsibility to make our group believe that we were not crazy or that we were a little crazy, but that craziness could help us to do big things. And we did beautiful and big things, beautiful and big things.
Thank you, Alicia. Yes, and in terms of numbers, big numbers, what could that mean? Each fair is which size? Just to how many participants? How many? Just for people to understand the magnitude of that for an economy like Colombian economy at that moment.
Okay. I was last night in the opening of Colombia Takes, and the mayor was there, and he was telling us that the economy of the city could receive like $20 million during 3 days of Colombia Takes, because hotels, taxis, restaurants, shopping centers, everything moves, no? Everything moves. So I know this is the 38th edition. I know they're having 500 exhibitors. They're expecting like 30,000 visitors. They have press from all over the world. So Colombia Takes, you don't need to say, my name is Alicia. When you say, hello, are you Colombia Moda? Yes, I'm Colombia Moda. Are you Colombia Takes? Yes, I am Colombia Takes. Because people feel Colombia Takes and Colombia Moda belong to them, not to Inex Moda. That one big achievement that we did is translate all our craziness and our dreams to the driver, the shopper, the restaurant owner. So any mayor cannot even think about saying no Colombia Takes, no Colombia Moda, because the city feels Colombia Takes and Colombia Moda belong to them. And I will tell you more about the things that this crazy dream team did, made possible law impossible.
I love it. I love that story. And of course, I think, and I would love to hear about Catalina, Bea, Natasha's story, because you are people who break things and make those big changes, impacting communities that are not even involved in the dream from their side, from their end, when the dream started to happen. But they were involved anyways. Who wants to follow?
I can
Catalina,
go.
go ahead. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, well, very difficult to go after Alicia and Inex Moda. So, what's an incredible achievement. And I know what it means for Medellin in the 80s, in the 90s, where there was no hope, as you say. And that same 80s and 90s, I actually went to, finishing medicine, I went to study genomics and genetics and that, molecule of DNA. For me, I think that there are two breaking points. One is having the opportunity to work in Iceland, Reykjavik, where they had the first and the biggest biobank, where they were collecting DNA for the entire Icelandic population and dreaming big about the impact genomics can have in an entire population. This is not just for one or two people. This is for all of us. Like we have cell phones, all of us. This is not for you or for me, it's for everyone. And then the second breaking point for me was, again, after working in many different places around the world, the US, Canada, Europe, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, because then I moved from being the person presenting the power of genomics to being the person living the power of genomics and undergoing all the tests that guided my diagnosis, refined my diagnosis, guided the treatment. So my call to action now, for myself and for the community, is to make sure genomics is like the cell phone, basically. It's a technology that is accessible to all, to every single patient with cancer around the world. And that's part of the work we're doing with Global Gene that was created in 2023 as part of that somewhat cancer journey. Global Gene is initially a platform to make genomics in general, not just about cancer, but genomics accessible to all people in Latin America. So we provide information, education in Spanish. We present and promote the work being done in Latin America. And we, of course, also talk about the impact of genomics in cancer for cancer patients, not just for breast cancer, but any cancer patient. So it's really taking a technology that was like almost, a dream for many and make it a reality for all.
Thank you, Catalina. And for the ones who follow all your journey, it is amazing how much we learn. And again, how brave you were because the sharing all the story through the different stages and everything was helping everybody to understand better the impact of genomics and well, medicine sometimes is like a world of others, but you were connecting the dots with humans. So thank you.
Great stories. I'm super inspired. So mine, it's a little bit started like since I was a little kid. Like my grandpa always said, si usted tiene que dar, or if you have to give. So I grew up with that we go and helped everywhere. Like we go to the orphanage, go to the nuns, buy things from the nuns. They make the best cakes. I remember growing up in San Cristobal, Venezuela, going and getting cakes and bringing groceries to them, and then going to the elderly homes and bringing pills and medicines for them that they needed. Then hard to talk about Venezuela without politics. So similar to what Alicia and Catalina was sharing, in Venezuela, things start going in the wrong direction. So I get to go to school in Wisconsin, and it's like, okay, how do I make sure there's more people that look like me in the STEM education? And so I start helping with university programs that exist there. How do we bring more Latinos? How do we bring more people of color, African Americans to go to university? And I really love doing that because I was taken out from my bubble of Venezuela in the sense of like everybody looked like me. To Wisconsin, I was the only one in my floor with black hair. Everybody else was blonde or red hair, and which was awesome. But it was a change, right? So I'm like, how can I help with that? Then I got super lucky and blessed that I got a job at Microsoft. And then it's like, okay, same story. Like I'm the only Latino, especially Latina woman in my team, in the group where I was on. So I'm like, what can I do? And I start helping with Microsoft programs. Maybe you hear of them. One of them is called DigiGirls. That's no longer a program, but that was when I started. And I said, hey, like, I got to do more. Like the what we do at Microsoft and the products has an impact across the world, regardless of where you are. At some point, you use any Microsoft product, but where is the essence of everybody in not just one culture, but how do we make sure that is embedded into the products? And I found 4 friends in this crazy dream in a cafeteria and said, hey, I think that we can do more. I think that if we want this to look different and everybody being accounted into the products that we make, or any tech company make for that matter, we have to go and knock on the door. So John Doe and Pedro Perez and Maria Gonzalez also have an opportunity to learn how to code. Because I got into coding because chemistry and oils, I couldn't study. I had like 4 or 5 teachers of chemistry back in high school, so I didn't have the base to go for chemistry or oil. And so I'm like, okay, can we do this? Like, I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about nonprofits. I don't know anything about how we're going to get the funding. But I know that there is a need where we can help those students that might not be fortunate to have someone in the tech world that will know about what coding is. And so a lot of folks were like, there's so many nonprofits and there's so many programs doing this already, and there's already this and that. And I'm like, that's okay. Like it's five of us. If we can make a difference in 1 year of helping 500 kids that have never coded, and we can get them to code with like no resource. Again, you asked about a business plan. We didn't have a business plan. We didn't have a mission. We didn't have a logo. We just had the will that we wanted to make a difference in the local schools for kids that were attending schools. So in the US, is this concept of Title I, which is where the majority of the students cannot afford lunch. So the government pays for their lunch. So those are the schools that we were targeting. And so we all said, yes, let's do it. Like, again, no, there was no ChatGPT back then, no Gemini, none of this stuff where we just can do that research, but the will was there. And by the end of the first year in 2018, we were able to help over 2,000 students. So the need was there. It was a dream, but it was a dream team, right? Like, it was all of us believing in something that almost everybody we would tell us would say, like, nah, there's already too many people doing that. There's no need. And today we still do that. So that's my story. And hopefully that inspires others that want some sort of cause of what they think it's important to them, or something that you have that you would wish more folks would have access to, that it is possible.
Thank you, Ea. Yes, super inspiring. And of course, well, the impact that it also has, the replication of it from the kids to their families, to their environment and community. Natasha, please.
Oye, qué fuerte, qué fuerte. Let's see. Well, again, it starts very young. I think I really fell in love with the platform that is theater, and so as I grew within it, and as I trained for it and pursued it at a theater conservatory, I realized very quickly that I didn't want to repeat somebody else's lines for the rest of my life. I wanted to create my own stories. I wanted to write them. I wanted to direct them and produce them. And so I did. And I think graduating, just upon graduation, I had written 12 plays and a full-length cartoon for Nickelodeon. It was one of the first interactive cartoons. So I staged my first play, and I hated it because the result was so rigid and linear, and it was stiff. And I think at that point I had already been just infected by the cinematic magic we see on screen, and sort of the amplified audiovisual qualities that we're now so used to and we may take for granted, and sort of the exhilaration of club culture and sort of that entire scene. And so I realized I need to start from scratch and sort of reimagine this experience that I want to build, or these experiences, these adventures. That's what I like to call them. I create theatrical adventures. And there was no roadmap for it. Nobody was, there was no program about it. And so I started doodling them, and literally just drawing what I was seeing, and then, and then perfecting the drawings, and then refining them, and then suddenly stringing them together. And then that became sort of a movie version of the experience. And that allowed me to not hold anything back. There's a level of separation when you're able to sort of craft the world that you want to make. And so that sort of generated and created my first show, Upwake, which ended up sort of being pioneering in the field in the early 2000s, when I was using projection mapping on stage and synchronizing computer-generated images to the performers, sort of imagining like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but live, like sort of that quality, where you don't know if you're dreaming or if. So I think that mentality, I've applied this over and over again, but the framework has always changed because I get bored and I don't want to repeat the same things. So I like to question things a lot. I like to push and provoke. And so with every show has been sort of an evolution and a reinvention and a provocation in form and message. During the pandemic, when everything shut down, people said, nah, live is done, immersive is done, you can't do anything interactive, no. And I was like, really? Is that so? So I thought, well, I think I found a way. Why don't we create the greatest car wash show on earth and use sort of the car wash mechanics as dynamics for drama and immerse the participants? And yes, cars could drive in, but this is not the point. Like, we had boom zones where people can just walk in, like in concerts, and like we had splash zones where we gave everybody an Nico rain poncho and you could enjoy the show. And we followed the trials and tribulation of the Karaboom family as, you know, they open this car wash show and they have no clue what they're doing, so everything goes wrong. And it was a bliss. All of this to tell you that, but the big breakthrough, I think, has always been, I've for the longest time, I always said, one day I will go to space, but not just going to space. One day I will create shows in space. And I think I was really chasing the poetry of it. You know, as kids, a lot of us might have wanted to be astronauts, and sort of now introspecting, I think it's not the literal astronauts they aspire to. It's this, this feeling of anything is possible. I can do everything. I can go there. And so that's the feeling that I was chasing. And then watch out what you wish for, because as you manifest and it happens. And so for the past 15 years, life has presented me with these extraordinary opportunities to be part of a scientific study at NASA Johnson Space Center, where I spent an entire week there and got to train and fly the lunar parabolic flight, and then got to train in neutral buoyancy at NASA Ames while at Singularity University, and then realized, if I don't take this moonshot seriously of creating shows for space, which I have no idea what that entails, I don't know. What does it mean? I don't know. But if I don't really deliberately take that first step, I will never know. And so either I walk the talk or I stop talking about it altogether. And I'll skip the details, but then it's just been a string of serendipitous events, which is insane. But I end up taking the new space economy program at MIT, and then I'm now studying at the International Institute for Astronautical Sciences, and that is such a mouthful. And so I'm now bridging both worlds, my passion for showmaking and theatrical adventures and space. And I think the sort of that audacity, but looking back, we say, oh, that was so audacious, or that is so bold. But when you're doing it, it's just there's nothing bold or ambitious. You're just like, I got to do it, or not, or I move on. Right? It's very matter of fact, I think. Yes. So.
And I would love to invite everybody to follow your YouTube channel, your website, your everything, because it's amazing, and the story and every show. And ladies, we have short time, but I want to make two other small, short questions, very quick ones. The first one, practically, as a tactical question, how do you move from the sparkling of the inspiration of the dream to make it a reality? What do you think is your personal trick that people can replicate? Well, I don't know if you are replicable at all, but what could be that advice of first step to start converting that dream into a reality?
You want me to start?
Sure. No, now that we have this rhythm.
Okay. That's a very beautiful question for a very beautiful answer, because I'm a dreamer, but I'm a dreamer that can make dreams possible and can be surrounded, and I always looked to be surrounded by young people and people much more smart, much more wise than Alicia. I think one of the major handicaps that I could have, Rosario and friends, is that I'm a very passionate woman. And I think everything in this world, everything in this world can be possible. Can be possible, of course, if you know what your dream is, you have the team to make it possible. If you know how to move in the politics, in the private sector, in the academic sector, to make all these institutions believe in the need that we had in 1987, not to sit and cry, not to sit and be afraid, not to sit and say, Colombia is done, but to inspire others to believe in the possibility that when you dream and when your dream impacts, it's not your dream for you, it's a dream for the community you believe in, for the country you love, the country where you were born. And you have an obligation. If you were born with possibilities, you cannot just sit, and take a cup of wine and say, Colombia is over. Colombia is not over. Colombia is a wonderful country. So my grandfather, named Gonzalo Mejia, he was called the builder of dreams for the many, many things he did in Colombia. And maybe, Catalina, when you speak about genomics, maybe I have a little part in my hair or my nails or my nose or anything from Don Gonzalo, no? So when you said inspire young people, Rosario, in a very different world, because the world is now doing like this. And if you do not understand the movement of this, you will be ahead from everybody. Ahead, no, back of everybody. But I think the most important message I would give to the young people is dare to dream. Do not be afraid of dreaming, but always think that your dream has to benefit a community. You do not dream to buy the best car or the best watch or the most beautiful sneakers or dye your hair or buy so many Sephora things. No, you dream to make your community have a better standard of living. And we have Colombia and Catalina knows it, and Venezuela knows it. We have the obligation to be a more even society. And that's what I believe on. And when I say I am retired from big events, but I cannot be retired of doing things for my city. Cannot. The day I do not do it, Alicia, that day will be singing her song, my song, when I'm going to go in the other planet, my song is I Live It My Way.
100%.
But I want to ask Natasha if you can give me a job with you, and I will go and dream with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
I have a question for Catalina. Catalina, how easy is to achieve your dream that genomics will be as a cell phone for the people? Is it a dream, big dream? Or
not
the
difficult.
world is moving towards this?
I think we're moving exactly right there. And Alicia, I think, well, at least the challenge we will have now is to ensure an equitable access, to ensure that people living in remote regions, people living in rural regions, Like, again, the cell phone. Like I always say, going from some places in Africa didn't have landlines, never had a landline. They never built the infrastructure to get landline to their homes because it was too expensive, too complicated. People in Africa and rural Colombia, I remember most of rural Colombia went directly from not having a phone to having a cell phone, because that was the portable, easy, and sustainable way and cost effective. So I think that's what we are trying now to do with genomics. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's starting to happen. We have now sequencers that are the size of a USB. There are tiny portable sequencers produced that can be deployed in remote regions. But now to your question, Rosario, I think, and I'll try to answer short, a lot overlaps with what exactly Alicia said, because I think maybe a common point here is like, dreaming big. For me, the big dream about this DNA, about genomics, about the impact this technology could have. But I think the turning point, again, when I decided to be open, because lots of people, when they are diagnosed with cancer, they keep that for themselves. And it's like almost a shame. Like, you should not tell the world you're sick because you're, I was like Superwoman, positions, traveling, presenting, always perfect, always great. And suddenly, I have cancer and I'm not Superwoman, and I lose my hair, and I show my pictures, post photos with no hair, and post photos about the challenges I had to access the genomic testing, even though I have been supporting genetics and genomics all my life. And I start to see the reaction. And that's to your point also, Alicia, that for me, the turning point is to really focus on the impact this has in people, in every person. It's not about you being more, buying a bigger car or getting more famous or getting more. It's about changing the life of every single human being. And in particular for us in Latin America, I think allowing this technology and empowering people to first know that genomics can change your diagnosis, can change your treatment when you're having cancer and with many, many other diseases. I think that's critical. So for me, dreaming big, perseverance was also very important, because at some points you are like, I'm sure, in Exmoda was not always a rose garden, and you had many difficult moments. Well, all of us, exactly, all of us, like for me, some days I was like, oh, am I ready to talk about my cancer journey when I'm feeling crap and I'm not feeling well? And let's also share that part, because that's what everybody is living. And also just surround yourself, and that's what I'm trying to do now with Global Gene, is have a team of people that are passionate and like-minded. And you also said there, like, get the people that think about like you, and I'm sure for Natasha is the same, but also that are people that are able to challenge you, because all that have the same passion, but are always also able to challenge you, and that know more than you. Absolutely agree, because I'm all about now, portraying our videos in social media, everything. I'm not the one that will edit those videos and the one that will do all this. These are the younger generations that are coming after, that are having all these ideas and all these tools. But I have the passion, I have the vision, and I have I would say, the obsession and the continuous thinking about the impact that this could have, and how this can change the life of people and can make us have a better health, better diagnosis, better treatment, and better prognosis for all.
That's
Love that.
wonderful.
Sure. Love that. Bea.
Yeah. So I already forgot the question, but I think it's about inspiration and
Making it a reality.
So making a reality. I agree a lot with what Alicia said. Is that it has to be for the community that you're trying to help, not just for yourself. I think that resonates a lot with me. And the greatest thing when you are a dreamer, or when you want to make an impact, or when you want to make a difference, is seeing it at the end of what you do. For example, every time we teach, we might teach a classroom of 30 to 100 kids. And if one kid comes out of that now wants to finish high school, wants to go to university, or wants to pursue computer science, that is the biggest accomplishment I can have. And I think that when that happens, it's the most beautiful thing, and it happens in every class we've taught. It's amazing, because you notice when you're teaching, when you're doing it selfless, right? You're doing it for their benefit. Because there's for us, like, we're already in the tech field, for all of us at Nuevo that do the volunteer work. But seeing that, it's amazing. And then just a quick story, going to El Salvador, we got that dream thanks to Rosario and the connections that Rosario has. But we got to go to El Salvador, and it has been super life-changing in the sense that kids really appreciate us going there. El Salvador has changed insane. If any of you, like especially you two, you from Colombia, go there, like, to see what's possible. It is so mind-blowing to see how the country is going. But then when the kids' classroom, we got there, and the kids is like, I'm going to start working for you right now. Tell me what to do. I believe in you. They have never seen someone from the US come in to teach me that I can be the next person that develops the app that's going to change the world. I'm going to be the next woman. I didn't even know that I could go to university and study what you're studying. And I think that trip for all of us that went from Nuevo, like 5 of us, it was very life-changing. And so all that to say, when you do it, because you, again, I have 0 connections to El Salvador, but we helped at Nuevo anybody that's underserved, and we've been super lucky to help in 33 countries. We can help more. If there's anybody listening that we can help, please, like, we would love to help anywhere else. But I think it's about the impact that you can have in a class of 1 hour, or exposure of a talk of 30 minutes can have the impact on those kids' life to be changed. And that to me is what keeps me going, even when a lot of things are happening, and that's important. So I don't know if that answered, Rosario, but that's what came to mind.
Yes, it completely adds, of course. Natasha.
From a practical standpoint, how do you turn dreams into reality, right? Like synthesizing the question. I think it's visualization, and it's visualization, mental visualization, and physical visualization. So like, I find that's, before going to sleep or even upon waking, both these states are so powerful. And every time I'm working on something big, or I have a mission, or actually on a regular basis, I'll literally visualize what the project looks like, or what the week looks like, what the day looks like, what I want this thing to be, right? It's I think that it's so very powerful, and we might be taking it for granted. And then the physical one, again, it's the more you can see it, the more you can architecture it physically, you can design it, draw it out, write it out, like the more clarity this vision of yours finds, the closer to becoming a reality it becomes, I think.
Thank you. Well, unfortunately, we need to close and wrap up today. But for sure, for the audience, please follow and connect with all these ladies. I am sure that you will be surprised for the things that they didn't share here, but they may share in other platforms. And be sure that you are connecting and following up. And again, thank you, Chris. Thank you to the ones in the next panel, because in the next conversation, because I know we took some time. And thank you again for being here. My complete admiration to all of you. You know that. And thank you again.
Thank you, Rosario. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks to you, Rosario and Chris, for this.
Bye, Alina.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.